Hello, and welcome to On My Shelf. Today I'm talking about a historical adult fiction book that takes place during biblical times. It's kind of a feminist Joan of Arc type story. The Book of Longings by Sue Monk Kidd is about Anna, who is from a wealthy family and rebels against the societal place of women in Israel. She secretly writes stories about the neglected and silenced women of her time. She's supposed to marry an old widower, but then she meets 18-year-old Jesus, and she makes her home in Nazareth with Jesus and his brothers and his mother Mary. There's lots of danger, rebellion, and history, and so much to love about this book. Sue Monk Kidd is probably most famous for her book, The Secret Life of Bees. She also wrote a really popular book called The Invention of Wings. Both of those books I highly recommend, and she has lots of others that she's written over the years. I loved the Book of Longings because I feel like it was a bold examination of Jesus' life and humanity. It imagines the feminist advocate he would have been for not just his wife, but for all women. There were lots of historical elements that showed Sue Monk Kidd's meticulous research, from the accurate depiction of the time to real historical figures in it. At its heart, it's a story about a woman realizing and stepping into the potential and passion inside her, while living in a time and place that silenced women. I felt a very kindred connection with Anna. What woman hasn't felt silenced at some point in her life, even in today's progressive time? Sue Monk Kidd used a perfect blend of imagination and true life. And I feel like this is important in historical fiction because you don't want to get bogged down in all of the details. There are so many details in history, but she used those with her imagination to kind of fill in some of the more interesting things. I also really enjoyed Anna's character because she was wise and bold, intelligent, resourceful, very ambitious. Everything that broke the mold of that time. Women did not become wise, bold, intelligent, resourceful, ambitious only in modern times. We were always that way. But history kind of left us out of its stories. There were also some really richly developed secondary characters. In some stories, you read these secondary characters who are sort of hollow and they don't stand out on their own. But that was not the case with this book. All of the secondary characters were fully fleshed out, and some of them were even real people in history. So here's what we can take away from the Book of Longings. A historical book should also feel a little bit timely. So much of our history comes back into the present. In this particular case, feminism will always feel timely. So this was a feminist book at heart. It opens the eyes to the longings that women have in them and have had in them since the beginning of time. The second thing is the question of curiosity. In the author's note, Sue Monk Kidd says that she wondered if Jesus had ever married, and if he had, what that woman would have been like. So the lesson that we can take from that is follow your curiosities. And it may demand boldness, but it's always worth it. And here's the third thing that I take away from this book. Sue Monk Kidd wrote a book called The Dance of the Dissident Daughter, and this examines where we lost the feminist approach to faith. This book kind of felt like a continuation of that conversation. Anna said things that I could imagine Sue Monk Kidd saying. Does he not think my writing is a prayer? Yes. That was a line from the book. So I feel like the lesson that we can take from this is don't be afraid to share yourself in your stories. It's the best part you can share. And that's it for today's On My Shelf. If you're interested in hearing an author's perspective on books, TV shows, and music, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.